What's up everyone, it's TheRazoredEdge, and today I'm here to bring you guys a brand new Gears 5 video. Today we have a Gears 5 feedback video on our hands. I said to you guys in my Gears 5 review that I would, instead of, putting out some tweets on Twitter with some ideas, that I would bring you guys some Gears 5 videos and content to help illustrate my ideas, go in depth, and try to paint a picture as to what I'm actually thinking. So hopefully what I have here in this video will help illustrate the point I'm trying to make. So this video is called Here's How the Coalition Can Make Gears 5 Matchmaking a Better Experience. And I believe all of that begins with UI, how things are laid out, people's perception of things in the game, how important things seem, and as well as variety in game modes. Don't know if I said that before, but anyway, here is my main menu anyways. So we start with the campaign, and then multiplayer, which you'll notice that I renamed. It would have been called Versus in Gears 5 and has been called Versus for a while, I believe. Was it called multiplayer or Versus in Gears 4? I don't remember. But then we have customization front and center. I believe having that there is important since players invest a lot of time into unlocking and buying skins in the game. So having that there, easy to access, people know where it is, featuring kind of their hard work and achievements right there is an important thing, I believe. Boot camp is there front and center for new players. Boot camp is kind of a representation of learning multiplayer and campaign at the same time. So having that on the front end instead of burying it underneath, multiplayer or campaign, I think is important. Then we have the store, which obviously features, new skins and whatever content is coming out for Gears 5 in the future. Then we have the news tab where the Coalition could, where they do actually in the game, they featured the Gears of War blog posts like What's Up or This Week in Gears. So there could be a small notification next to that whenever there's a new post happening, or whenever there's a Gears esports live stream that's featuring skin giveaways. They could have the exclamation point there or a small message popping out saying click here, and it will take you to live.gearsofwar.com to watch the stream like in the game somehow. And then we have our nice little quit button there as well, just because I felt like putting it there, and it makes it look like an actual menu. So the main point of this video is the multiplayer tab here, and this is where we're going to be diving into things. So I renamed it multiplayer to kind of cluster everything together, because Escape, Horde mode, and Versus are all versions of multiplayer. So when we jump into multiplayer, when we move over to the next part of the menu here, I have a few things featured here. So we have Versus, Horde, and Escape, but right here in the UI, I have Versus and Ranked Versus, Horde and Ranked Horde, and Escape and Ranked Escape. And so what I've done here is, like I said earlier, perception is everything in Gears of War, or in games in general. And I think a big problem since Gears of War 3, or Gears of War 2 even, like social playlists and quick play, the idea and the way those are named, it triggers something in people's heads where those playlists are not important. And when, they're filled with things like bots, and it's hard to kind of enjoy it, because like when you're killing a bot, it's just not as satisfying as killing a real player. So if it was only full of just real players, it would be an awful lot more satisfying. But that's kind of further into the video. But we have, so basically, instead of quick play or social, we just call it Versus, and those would be a set amount of game modes. And then we have Ranked Versus, which is a set amount of game modes. Those would be the competitive esports oriented kind of game modes that will be ranked. And Versus is kind of the more, the ones that aren't, but they're still like good Gears of War game modes that people can enjoy. So we're kind of going to ignore Horde mode and Escape, but I'll briefly explain kind of what my idea is there. So normal Horde would be for players, you can jump in and out. It's not a big deal if someone quits, because, it's very kind of relaxed and casual. People can join, leave, you can invite your friends, that kind of thing. Ranked Horde is something I believe there should be, like, Masters Horde players, like people who complete waves 1 to 50 and have like maybe good leaderboard times or something like that. And the same goes for Escape. So, something to really showcase the people who are super dedicated to Horde, like invest in their builds, no metas, no team compositions, that kind of stuff. I really think that that's something that they need to do to make stuff like really hardcore in Gears 5. And like for Escape, you could have, you know, world's first times and, you know, make things seem really important. But then also, you know, since you have the, you know, version of the playlists where people can drop in and out, that, you know, new players are nice and relaxed and can enjoy those modes as well. But since, you know, they just have that perception that they're enjoying the exact same mode as everybody else, but they don't have that pressure of having to, you know, have a rank. But anyway, this video is focused on versus. So for versus, which technically would be social or quick play, but we're just going to call it versus. So kind of people aren't thinking that, oh, it's just quick play, oh, it's just social. So if we click on versus here in the menu, basically in my nice menu, it brings us to the list of game modes. And I have thought about this. This video in itself is inspired by, I actually put out a tweet just kind of randomly thinking about the way that the menu is laid out, and I got a lot of feedback on Twitter from people. So this is kind of a compilation of the community's thoughts, kind of comboed in with my thoughts. So like there's a few changes to my initial thoughts, but this is essentially what I had in mind. So the idea is that between versus and ranked versus is that there's only one of each game mode. Like there's not going to be a social team deathmatch and a ranked team deathmatch, you know, a social king of the hill and a ranked king of the hill. There's only going to be one team deathmatch in the game and one king of the hill in the game. So basically for versus, or, you know, quick play social, just so I'm being clear about what I mean here, is I think the game modes that are perfect for this are free for all, Wingman, Team Deathmatch, Guardian, and then you have the special event in here because that's obviously not a ranked mode, and then you have Arcade in there as well, since that's not a ranked mode. You know, bots can be in Arcade and jump in and out, since that's kind of the environment that game mode is trying to make. And then the special event can rotate in and out. That can be, you know, obviously these can be prettied up with graphics and stuff like that. This is just a really kind of standard layout that I'm kind of showing here. But basically the idea is that all of these modes, the rules for all of these modes is that for social quick play, or as I'm just calling it, versus, the rules for these is that I believe that versus should have rolling lobbies. That means that when you hop in, this is like Gears of War 3 social lobbies or quick play lobbies, or Gears Ultimate Edition, which actually did it perfectly, where, you know, you search for a team deathmatch, it puts you in a character select screen, and it shows you the next map that's coming up that you can actually vote for, and everyone can vote together. And you know, you can pick your character, your skins, and then it puts you in the next lobby. And then once you finish that game, it puts you back into the lobby. You don't go like into the main menu and have to search again. It just constantly goes. So it's a match. Then you go to the lobby, pick your characters, change your skins, that kind of thing. Then it goes into the next one, and it goes on repeat. And so the next rule here I have is that there should be no bots whatsoever. So this kind of comes down to what I was saying about perception and importance. I think the reason a lot of people don't like going into social or quick play is because they feel that they're not kind of they're not achieving much, because they're killing bots, which are kind of like a crutch. And I think bots have a place in Gears of War, but I don't think social quick play, or versus as I'm trying to call it, is the place to do it. I think that bots can be useful in other ways, and that's something that we'll dive into. But basically, bots should be reserved for co-op versus AI. That's not something I included in here, so that's something that we're going to have to figure out where that will go in terms of UI. You know, bots should be a learning thing. I feel like if players need to play against bots, that's what they should be doing. They should be playing co-op versus AI and the boot camp until they're good enough to jump in with just other players, because there has to be a sense of progression when playing Gears of War and getting better. I understand that there's some people you know, who just don't want to play against other players and sweat, so they can just enjoy co-op versus AI and that kind of thing. You know, that's kind of the sense that I'm trying to make of it. And then also they should also have backfill and join in progress. That's kind of what I was saying. People can jump in and out of this. Like in Gears Ultimate Edition, it's 4v4. So in a team deathmatch lobby, you could be playing on Subway, and then the match ends and people leave. And then it could be, you know, 2v3. But then, you know, in that pre-game lobby, people join in right away because the backfill's doing the best it can to fill your lobby up and send people into your lobby. So people are dropping in and out, and it's no big deal. And like, you know, if someone leaves, you could have the ability to, you know, invite your friends, that kind of thing. You invite your friends in and out. I don't think it should put a limit, you know, to, you know, stacked teams or not. I think a stacked team should be able to stack a versus or social quick play lobby. And the thing is that if you do bump into like a stacked team in it, you can always leave and find another lobby, because it's not a big deal, because it's not ranked, you know. So there's no punishment for leaving there, and that means that no one's getting quit penalties, and people don't feel the need to stay because they're afraid of getting punished by a ban or something. They can just have a nice relaxed time, you know. If the lobby's too intense for them, they could just back out and find another one. So no big deal. The next rule, lobby screen between games. I think I've said this already, so basically, just to reiterate, because I tend to ramble, is that Gears Ultimate Edition did this perfectly, and this was actually brought up by Cog Couple on Twitter underneath my thread. Shout out to Sophie and Paul. They said lobby screen between games. So this is basically like where you can, you know, just chill for a minute. The game is done. You have time to relax, pick your character, change your skins, see what the next map coming up is, instead of it being, you know, automatically given to you on a map that you don't necessarily want. I find that that's a big problem with quick play in Gears 5 and in past Gears games, is that it just automatically gives you a map and you're just like, oh, I don't want to play this, and then you just back out anyway. I feel like a good way to keep lobbies rolling, which is the idea of this new kind of versus format that I'm trying to kind of put across here, is you know, to give people more options, more customization, more like ownership over a lobby. You know, you could be really enjoying yourself in that lobby, and you want to stay, and you keep getting to vote for maps you like, so why wouldn't you want to stay? And then the last point here is team shuffling. So team shuffling is also a point that was brought up. I believe this was brought up by Cog Couple as well. Maybe I'm mixing up who suggested that, but someone definitely brought this up on Twitter. Is that team shuffling was a thing in Gears Ultimate, where like say you join a solo game on War Machine in the social lobby, and then once the game is done, what it will do is it will shuffle the team. So I don't know if it uses like an algorithm to see who did what or where, or if it just like kind of randomly shakes the team up. So you'll be playing against people who were on your team in the previous game, that kind of thing. So it's switching people back and forth across the teams between each lobby. So it keeps things fresh. It makes sure that like if you're enjoying the lobby but you feel that the teams are a bit unbalanced, that like it's constantly shuffling things around to maybe make things fair, more fun, mix it up, you know, just a whole bunch of variety there. But that's all the rules I have for like the social quick play kind of versus lobby, and those should be called versus in my opinion. I feel like I'm saying social quick play now just to give you guys the idea of what I'm saying, but it should just be called versus, because I feel like it has that negative connotation next to it of people not taking it seriously. Therefore, they're not playing it and feel like they can only play ranked. And then some people are like, well, I don't want to sweat today, so I don't want to play Gears today. So that's kind of like what I'm doing. I'm trying to give people like, oh, you know what? I'll hop into some team deathmatch and I'll play for like 3 or 4 hours, and it just rolls and time flies by and they don't even notice. So just to summarize there, the game modes are Free for All, Wingman, Team Deathmatch, Guardian. and then we have the special event in arcade. So free-for-all as it is in Gears 5 right now is actually perfect the way it fills up. It may not necessarily fill up. How many players does it have? I can't recall the actual player count, but it fills up, let's say 25 players. I don't know if that's the actual player count or not. Let's say there's 25 players. It's probably like 15 or something, but let's say there's there's 15 players, but it doesn't fill up the whole way, but there's no bots there to interrupt, your gameplay experience. Like you're not going on a streak and you're like, oh my god, this is so meaningful and I'm really enjoying what I'm doing and I just got a Quinn, and then the next kill is a bot and you're just kind of like, oh, but it was a bot, and it's kind of sucking the energy out of the accomplishment you just had. So I really feel like bots are a negative kind of thing for gameplay experience in Gears of War, but like I said, they can be a positive, and it's something I will dive into later. Wingman, just like I said, you'd have no bot teammates in that either. You could end up going 1v2 v2 v2, etc., that kind of thing, or you could be 2v1 v1 v2 v2, that kind of thing, and then eventually the game will backfill in a teammate if someone is searching solo, that kind of thing. I think people kind of enjoy the challenge of trying to 1v2 a Wingman squad rather than a bot kind of giving away your position and waddling into the other team and giving them more score, that kind of thing. It's that kind of stuff, like bots giving away your score, especially in kill game modes. That's a big problem, especially in like deathmatch. Guardian especially, if you get the bot as a leader, he just waddles over to the other team and there you go. There's nothing you can do. The round is just done. There's like you've no control over it or anything. Maybe if there was some kind of system where you could tell the bot to stay back or something like that, maybe, but I think that people would just rather try and overcome the odds rather than having a bot kind of throw the scenario for them, if you know what I mean. So just to summarize there, we have free-for-all, Wingman, Team Deathmatch, Guardian, special events. So that could be like OSOC, Torpo Tag, that kind of thing. So that'll rotate in and out. So that name special event will change over time and all that kind of thing. And then arcade, I think there's a few modes. Like I think there's Arcade King of the Hill and Arcade Deathmatch. They could maybe do Arcade Gridiron and just say whatever and just do some wacky stuff with that as well. But let's see, what else do we have here? Okay, so next one is ranked versus. So this one is kind of it's one that I've really put kind of like a lot of thought into. Like, what are the important competitive game modes that exist in Gears 5, in Gears of War, that would work, that matters, that you're actually getting a rank in? Like, is Team Deathmatch really a mode that you should have a Master's rank in? I don't think so. Team Deathmatch is supposed to be kind of like, it's a mode you jump in to get some kills and, go for clips, or, blind fire the sniper here and there, or do some funny stuff with your friends, do some wacky strats, camp in a corner, smoke tag people, just enjoying Gears of War, rather than having the pressure of, take Harbor, for instance, of people like camping up top and sweating as hard as they can in Team Deathmatch. I remember playing Gears of War 3 and just enjoying like playing on Sandbar and just, trying to shoot people off of the top of the map and, just stuff like that. There's just stuff like that just isn't possible because, it's kind of locked behind that, ranked barrier as of the moment in Gears 5. And I know that social Team Deathmatch exists, but like I said, the problem is that there's bots in there, and like they kind of suck away the kind of the enjoyment factor out of it for me. I know I'm kind of repeating myself there, but I do want to get that point across and make sure it's relevant to what I'm saying. So ranked versus. So let's see. So the list of modes that I put here for this is, I initially only had Gridiron and Escalation. I actually had King of the Hill in the social quick play tab, but after thinking about it and after seeing some feedback from the community, like about what modes you think should be ranked, I think that this definitely does make the most sense. So Gridiron is there because that's like the new competitive mode. This is like the version of execution that we've all been dreaming of. Like execution with an objective that makes people push forward. There's no stalemates, no slow gameplay. You're playing for the flag. Your life means something. Like, that's what Gridiron is, and that's why that's there, and that's why execution isn't there. I saw some people bring up execution, like the execution should be in there as well, but I feel like having execution and Gridiron be ranked is probably not the greatest idea. Considering that, like, I feel like execution it's been an absolute staple of Gears of War, and I've loved it ever since the original. I played it all the way up into Gears of War 3, but then, you know, Team Deathmatch and Respawn modes took over, and, you know, watching competitive Gears of War 3 at the time, there was an awful lot of stalemates and just drawn out kind of gameplay. It's not the mode that it used to be, because it's just aged. Like, Gridiron really is the solution to that in my eyes. It's been an absolute blast to play, and it's been amazing to watch, and I hope that becomes like the premier Gears esports game mode. And then I have Escalation in here as kind of a respectful nod to the fact that it's been the premier Gears esports game mode, you know, since Gears of War 4. But at the end of the day, this is my personal opinion. I personally don't enjoy Escalation. I think it's overly complicated, especially for new players. Like, just trying to explain it to people. I just personally don't enjoy it that much. I have really tried to get into it, but I just don't find myself getting excited to play it. So if that rotated out and we had Gridiron as the main Gears esports game mode, that's it. But if both of them exist, that's totally fine. So both of those you should be able to earn, you know, your Masters rank for, and I think that's valid, considering that, you know, Gridiron is primed to be the next kind of Gears esports game mode, or something that will be alongside Escalation. And then the fact that Escalation has that kind of it has a prestigious history, like, you know, Optic Gaming, you know, Ghost Gaming. There's a lot of history with Escalation, a lot of great moments, a lot of, you know, lives have been changed with that game mode. I know Node Zero has left the coalition recently, which is quite sad to see. So best of luck to Ryan in the future. I hope things go well for him and whatever he decides to do next. But then next here, so King of the Hill, this is a point that I brought up, is that, you know, I've thought about putting that in the social playlist just because it kind of is like a goofy game mode, but at the same time, its past history is an esports game mode, like, quote unquote. Like, it was like one of the competitive game modes that was played during Gears of War 3. I'm not sure about Gears of War 2. I was kind of completely oblivious to competitive Gears of War back during Gears 1 and Gears 2. I kind of just lightly familiar with, like, game battles and some names here and there, like Dark Angel and that kind of thing. But that's about the extent of it. And then once Gears 3 came in, you know, there was guys like Icy and Toy Soldier and you know, Explosive and Praise and guys like that really stood out, and they played King of the Hill and Execution. So King of the Hill, since it has that kind of past competitive history, I feel that deserves to be a competitive game mode. And especially from my own personal experience, that King of the Hill is one of the most, it requires some of the most teamwork, some of the most communication in the entirety of Gears of War. So I think it definitely deserves to be a ranked game mode that you definitely fight to get your Masters rank for. I definitely think it's a valid mode to have there. And then next is 2v2 Nashers. I think grinding for your rank in 2v2 Nashers with your buddy is just fun. I know it's just another option, kind of a variety, as you will, as you will. Is that even a term? But it's a bit of variety in what you can do to play for ranked, because I feel like Wingman is kind of like a casual, kind of, you know, competitive but casual kind of time. But 2v2 Nashers is like super heated. It's all about who's the best with the Nasher, and plus it was this kind of brings me back to the playlist structure that we had in Gears Ultimate Edition, which was actually brought up to me by Embry Starred. on Twitter. Shout out to my boy. He basically said that the way the Gears Ultimate had their playlist layout was perfect, and it's kind of the way I have the versus and versus rank laid out is kind of honestly inspired by the way that's laid out. It's a combo of the way Gears 5 is, as well as kind of Gears Ultimate and Gears 3 kind of built in there. And 2v2 Nashers was the quote-unquote competitive mode. The only thing that Gears Ultimate Edition was missing was an actual ranking system, and we would have had King of the Hill and 2v2 Nashers and Execution in there, I believe, for the competitive playlist, which is super cool. So those are the 4 ranked game modes that I think should be there. Only reason Execution isn't there is because Gridiron exists, and I think that having both of them there would just suck population out of each other, you know what I mean? So I think it's like you gotta go with one, and I think Gridiron definitely is the one. And so after all of that, like I had rules or like notes for the social quick play versus playlists, ranked has to have some rules. And I think that these ones are quite important and could really, really improve the way ranked plays out and, you know, how seriously people take it. So rule number 1, ranked game message warning. So when you click versus ranked and you pick a game of Gridiron, what it should do is, like most competitive games like League of Legends, CSGO, they kind of flash up with like, you're about to play a competitive game that could last up to X amount of minutes, you know, make sure you're here kind of thing. Like, make sure you're ready to commit to this. So make sure like that, you know, little Timmy doesn't have to run off to work and, you know, it's like, bye guys, and then he just drops out and leaves you 4v5 in the middle of a ranked game. That's not what you want. You want people to really take ranked seriously. So having that message there as kind of like, you know, this is what you need to be ready for, or you will get, you know, suspension, ban that stacks up or whatever, that kind of thing. And so that brings me to the next rule here, where is probation if quit. So the Coalition brought up that they're bringing in a system into ranked to punish quitters. Quitters has been an epidemic in Gears of War since Gears of War 1. Like, this is not exclusively a Gears 5 problem. This is Gears 5 has its issues here and there, like every Gears of War game has had, but this quitting thing is not exclusive to Gears 5. It's happened since Gears 1. Someone gets bodied one round, they just rage and leave, and there's nothing that you can do to stop them from joining another game and doing it again. So what the Coalition has proposed here, which I think is actually genius, it's probably the best like punishment system I've seen in a game, or suggested for a game. Hopefully it gets added relatively soon. But the probation basically is, if someone quits enough games, right, instead of just getting banned, say they get banned, like normally they get banned for 5 days and the player would just go, I don't care, I'll just play something else and come back in 5 days. But what the probation system does is it clocks up a certain amount of time, it locks them out of ranked, and they have to go into quick play or social matches, and they have to play a certain amount of games in order to be able to be eligible to go back into rank. So they have to show that they are on good behavior and that they've kind of learned their lesson and they're actually completing games. And people might say, well, what's stopping them from just going AFK in the quick play matches, you know, in order to just bypass the probation system? Well, you know, what the Coalition said is that the player actually has to participate in the game. They have to, you know, play the objective, get kills, get score, be moving, that kind of stuff. So the game will detect, you know, that they've actually put in the work to work off their probation. And what's great about this is that it's punishing people, but it's not stopping them from playing the game. So it's keeping people in the loop of actually still playing Gears of War. Because, you know, sometimes someone who might play Gears of War, they might leave and get banned for a week, and then they just kind of, you know, move on to something else. I think it's also important to keep people in the loop of actually still playing Gears of War. And someone's like, okay, well, I still really want to play ranked, so I'm going to work off this probation and then jump back into ranked. And then, you know, I don't want to go through all of that again or get a worse punishment or a longer probation, so I'm actually going to work that probation off, and I'm going to actually play ranked and, you know, complete all of my matches, which I think is super important. So the third rule that I have here is rewards detailed. So I think when you are like hovering over one of the game modes in the menu, like Gridiron, like Escalation, like 2v2 Nashers, it should show you what exactly rewards you're going to get for placing Masters in that season. Like, is this the season I'm going to get my Diamond Nasher? And it will show you, like, there, front and center when you're hovering over the place. Like, this is what you get if you hit Masters. And it should also display the current rank you are, you know, that kind of thing. You know, if there's challenges, it should show the, you know, your X amount of kills out of 100, that kind of thing. Just everything front and center, that all the rewards are super, like, clear. And main reason I say that is because at the end of a season, we don't really even know what skins we're going to get are going to be Masters. We just get them delivered to them at the beginning of the next operation. So it'd be nice to see that, like, clearly displayed in game. Another main reason I say is because there are actually escape rewards in the game for completing, you know, for doing a certain amount of placements in escape, you know, for completing it on Masters and that kind of thing. There's like whole sets that are kind of hidden away in the leaderboard, if in case you guys didn't know. So it's kind of about bringing all of that stuff clearly displayed front and center for people to see, and something that they will strive to achieve. They're like, oh, look, the Masters Nasher, I'm gonna go for that, you know, that kind of thing. So then we have the next rule here is rank displayed. So I kind of understand why it doesn't show what rank people are in Gears 5, because it used to do it in Gears 4, and people would, like, on one team there would be a Diamond 5, and then the other team there would be like a couple of bronzes and then some Onyx, and that would, like, irritate some people. So I understand why the Coalition have hidden that away, but they should at least make the rank display for the player that has earned the rank, like have it constantly on the screen for yourself, that kind of thing. Just make sure it's nice and visible for people to see, just so, you know, you can wear it as a badge of honor, kind of thing, is basically what I'm trying to say. Like, more pride and accomplishment, and kind of like I was saying, back to you know, perception and importance. I think it's important that people you know, have their hard work on display in the game. But then the next rule here is bot backfill and player control. So this is what I was saying about bots. I don't think bots are useful in quick play and social, which you may think that, you know, it's the opposite, that the opposite way around. I think that they're actually valid to have in a ranked game. So if your teammate drops and leaves out of the game, right? Say you're in a gridiron lobby, your teammate does back out, and you're just like, oh no, like, this is bad. Under normal circumstances, you would have, like, no slot to fill there. Someone can't join because it's a ranked game. No one can come back. So it'd be nice if a bot, you know, took that position. And then this is inspired by Counter-Strike Global Offensive. When someone leaves in CS:GO, it puts a bot there as a replacement for the player. And what can happen is that a player can actually say, I die, like, if I'm pushing, you know, straight down the middle of Icebound, I'm trying to grab the power weapon in the middle, and I just get rinsed by someone who's crossing from up in one of the towers, right? And then what can happen is that the bot's, like, waddling around doing nothing. What if I had the ability to take control of that bot and use it? It means that the slot is being taken up by something useful that can actually, you know, give you an advantage to actually make a play and use it. You know what I mean? Does that make any kind of sense? Like, you can actually get use of it, so it's not such a death sentence when someone leaves. But that leads us into our next rule here, which is a surrender option. So if someone does leave, and even if you can't take control of a bot and it's still useless and you're just man down, it's just things are so hopeless, you should have the option to surrender. And since you're, you know, a man down, it was out of your control, you don't get a loss or anything like that. It just closes the lobby. no one takes a loss or anything like that. I don't know the details on if maybe the team that didn't surrender maybe should get some, you know, advance in rank or that kind of thing. That's a whole nother conversation. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Should nobody get anything? Should it just basically be like the lobby never happened, or do you think that the team that didn't surrender should kind of get something for it? You know what I mean? But yeah, that is everything, guys. I think that's everything that I really wanted to say. Of course, as usual, once I stop recording or once I post the video, I'm sure someone will post in the comments and make me realize that I missed something. But that's kind of the main idea of what I wanted to kind of illustrate to you guys, was that I think that, you know, people's perception of game modes, you know, the way things are presented is extremely important. I think, you know, having those rolling lobbies and having that kind of not super serious vibe, but can be serious if, like, you know, a stacked team is in there. But I think options are so important, you know, for the longevity of a Gears of War game. I think, you know, giving people the option to just jump in and enjoy a rolling lobby for hours that's just, you know, ongoing. You can enjoy with your friends, or you can leave whenever you want because there's no pressure, but there's also, you're also satisfied by everything you're doing because you're going against actual real players. Like, you're satisfied by that. And then you can also have the option to jump into ranked and, you know, grind for game modes that, like, really mean something, that are you know, esports, kind of competitive oriented, you know, require communication, stuff like that. You know, I have a bad habit of rambling and kind of sometimes I feel like I'm good at putting my point across, and other times not. But hopefully you guys get the idea. I think layout of the menu is very important. I think you know, not painting something as casual and hardcore as quick play and social versus ranked. So just calling it versus and ranked. You know what I mean? Like that's really what the idea of what you want to put across. So people don't think that they're doing less than somebody else just because they're not playing ranked. Like, they're still playing against other players. They're just not getting you know, an emblem next to their name at the end of an operation if they don't want to, and that's totally fine. But yeah, I think that's been everything, guys. Let me know if there's anything I missed in the comments. If there's anything else about Gears 5 that you would like me to cover in the future, I'm more open to doing feedback videos, you know, that kind of thing. Always constructive criticism. I think Operation 3 in particular has been a huge step in the right direction, which is kind of a point that I was trying to make in my honest review of Gears 5 video, which you guys really went ahead and supported. I really appreciate that. I probably didn't go as in-depth into certain areas that I would have liked to, but I got a lot kind of what I was thinking into that video. But yeah, let me know, guys, and you know, shout out to anyone at the coalition that might be watching this. If anyone, you know, wants to discuss this with me further on Twitter or in the comments section, like, give us, like, everyone just share your ideas. Like, what is it you want for the future of Gears of War? What's your ideal game look like? Like, does this sound good to you? Is there something you just completely, like, disagree with that I've suggested here? Or does it sound like this could be good for the direction of the franchise? I think fun first is really kind of the message that that I want to put across, that because that's how it really used to be, like you know, with rolling lobbies, especially Gears Ultimate. Like, I can't stress enough how good Gears Ultimate had it. Like, if that had a ranking system and, you know, had its social quick play playlist alongside it as well, it would have been absolutely perfect. And Gears 5 can 100% nail that and take all of the lessons that we've learned from, you know, Gears of War 2 onwards into this game, and it can just be an amazing time in a game that people really love, and that's all I want. I want everyone to love Gears of War because I love Gears of War. But instead of rambling on, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to drop a like on the video to help support. Spread it around by sharing it. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you thought. Follow me on Twitter at TheRazoredEdge. And as always, I will see you guys next time.